Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Celtic Down Under weekend review. My name is Anthony McGuire, joined as always with Paul Massey as we dissect Celtic 3, Hibernian 1, the round of 16 in the League Cup. Paul, pleasure as always to have you. And I suppose before I just cut in, apologies, listeners, that we're not live this week. YouTube has had a bit of a stushy over allegedly some things that were said in one of the other podcasts, but apparently we think it will be resolved by next week, so we should be back in live and dangerous. So we apologize, and we'll bring back your regular lunchtime viewing in Scotland as soon as possible. With that done, Paul, how are you? How was your weekend? What was your build-up like to the round of 16 in the Viaplay League Cup?
Yeah, weekend was good. Saturday. So I've got a bunch of mates that are, EPL focused, which, as we all know, not overly concerned about it. But they do this tipping competition every year, prediction competition. You pick the league 1 to 20, try and get every place right.
Fun.
So I've been involved for 2 or 3 years on that, and I find that not caring one jot about the league gives me a slight advantage on some of these idiots who keep putting Man United higher up the table than is ever going to be the case. But the first game of the season, they put, go around somebody's house, beers on, pizza, and get as many TV screens on the go as once. At one point, I think every live game on the 3 p.m. kickoffs was on a different TV screen from 35 inches to 75 inches. It was just daft. My mate's got a bunch of extra screens for his outdoor area that isn't quite outdoor yet. So they were all stacked on different units. So probably a bit too many beers had at that, and obviously a pretty late night by the time the last game finished. So it was about 2:45 before I crashed on my mate's sofa, and then up and it's in the morning and back over here. And then, so I had to have a nap, a power nap for about 90 minutes before kickoff. Power nap between 8:30 and 10 p.m. before kickoff, but that meant I was able to see the game through, which was good. Once the game was on, it was certainly worth staying up for. So, that was.
I'm glad you were nice and fresh for the game. I managed to power through. Actually, no, that's a lie. I had a wee mid-morning siesta for about half an hour. But I'm just on the countdown to holidays. So on a plane this Saturday to Italy. So I'll be away for a couple of weeks, but I'll let you know what the arrangements are before we finish up. But just try to get everything done. So packing, doing some work and just everything. So it's sort of a busy week. But yes, obviously was. Yeah, I actually stayed off the drink on Sunday, so I was actually sober watching Celtic, probably the first time in a long time. It was like Paul. It was always a case of deja vu because it kind of like obviously playing Hibs 2 weeks in a row. Obviously, we're playing them at home. We had the hoops on. Sun was out, but a wee bit swirly wind at Celtic Park. That corner flag was getting an absolute battering every time Matt O'Reilly was trying to take a corner. How are you feeling? Obviously, the big selection news was that Kyogo didn't make the squad and make the team to make the bench. So Maeda, able deputy, as it turns out, and obviously title of our podcast today, Daizen at the double. So he, was the main focal point of the attack with Kuhn and Forrest on the wings, and the rest of the team, unchanged. Obviously, the big inclusion on the bench was Adamida. And there was one of the young lads, Turley, I think, was on the bench as well, but he never managed to get on. Paul, were we thinking smooth sailing? There didn't seem to be many icebergs, as it were, from last week's performance in terms of what Hibs were offering. It was 2-0, but it was 2-0 going on about 5 or 6. And again, early goals settled the nerves, and Michael Stewart, commentator's curse, he was just saying, Hibs have started a lot better. Literally got 2 minutes out of the game, and then we go straight up the park and score. How How were you feeling before the game? Surprised about Kyogo because obviously I didn't sort of see anything in the lead up. I was busy, but I didn't see anything in the lead up saying that he was going to be missing. But obviously I had that shoulder problem that potentially popped out the week before. Take it away.
Yes, I wasn't surprised he wasn't in the starting lineup. And I guess extrapolate from there. If he's not fit to start, then do you want to risk him at all? Which is obviously the decision that was made. I guess the flip on that is I didn't expect him to play because I was reasonably confident that Adamida was sort of rushed in because there was a concern over Kyogo, and it suddenly got us enough of an issue to pull our axle fingers out and finish it. So that was good. All that posturing really blown out of the water as soon as we really needed him in. We probably paid what they wanted, so we might as well have paid that a few weeks ago and had him in and with the squad for longer. But that's the kind of way we do some stuff by the looks of it. But yeah, having him got him in the door by Wednesday, I expected him to start in Kyogo's place. Obviously, it was deemed that he wasn't quite match fit, which is fair enough. Obviously, we know he's not played a huge amount of football in pre-season for obvious reasons. And I guess once you think, I never actually got to the point where I imagined Dida wouldn't start. So I didn't then consider who would start through the middle if he didn't. Yeah. So, and obviously Mikey Johnston's out because, he's damaged his eye socket in that clash with the keeper last week. So you're looking at maybe Maeda. Maeda was your only option other than maybe Palma as a false nine. So yeah, it kind of once he's made that decision, that's really all we've got available, and he's not done that a lot for us, but we know he's played there for Japan, and on occasion when he has played, he's done well there, and it's not unfamiliar to him. So basically, given how poor Hibs were last week, and the fact obviously they've added Kwon to their squad, but he wouldn't be eligible obviously against us, so no change really for them. And obviously coming to a nearly full house at Celtic Park, you kind of expect that we'll front up again. Confidence is high. Obviously, fans are more confident we've got Ida back, which, I guess the doomsayers probably decided it was never going to happen. Whereas I think those of us that are a bit more balanced sort of thought it would happen, just a case of when. So, but good to get it done. So yeah, pretty confident. And it couldn't really have gone much better again. And as much as you expect Maeda to be able to do a job, he had a phenomenal first half, helped himself to a pair, should have had a hat trick. And yeah, he just offers us so much, whether it's from wide or through the middle, just relentless energy, an absolute pest to defenders, and a willingness to get in behind. And Hibs actually they didn't play the low block that a lot of teams do. They were pretty naive. They played a higher line. They left space in behind. We punished them twice inside 16 minutes. And pretty much like last week, the game was done and dusted. Yes, they had a bit of a flurry, but the game was, as for all intents and purposes, as a major contest, it was done. Yes, they got themselves back into it, and we'll go into more detail on that later. But really, you thought it was only a matter of time we went up the gears again, and we could and should have scored more goals. But that doesn't really take the gloss off the day. I think we played some really nice football at times. The intensity, the energy, the speed we moved the ball at, all night and day from this time last year. And yeah, I think bodes really well for the coming weeks. Obviously, it's the early days, and as Rogers alluded to in his post-match comments, easy time of year, one game a week, a full squad to pick from. It's going to get harder, which is why he wants bodies in, and we all want, a couple more, 2 or 3 more bodies in that are going to genuinely lift the overall quality of that first team. But lots to be pleased about. Really, really good performance on the day.
His post-match interview was a bit longer than the usual because you've got the panel there, so you do get a bit more insight into his thinking. This is Brendan Rodgers, by the way, and into his thinking and his thoughts on the match. And it was interesting, like you say, Paul. He said that it's easy at the moment because we're all playing one game a week, but you want more players in, want more quality in, because come the other side of the international break, up until March, we're pretty much playing twice a week every week. And you can see in the league at the moment, Kilmarnock are suffering, St Mirren are suffering, because they're having to play 2 games a week, and obviously different financial brackets and whatnot. But it just shows that the ability to put performances in when you're playing twice a week versus teams that aren't, it does add an extra challenge.
Yeah, Kelly made 9 changes from Thursday, with obviously one eye on Copenhagen next week as well. So yeah, definitely. I doubt we could make 9 changes and keep our team anywhere near as strong as it is currently. So it's no surprise that they've got they've got some challenges.
We couldn't, and this is the argument, and obviously Mikey Stewart was trying to get out of him, like, what positions you want to strengthen. But I think any Celtic supporter with half a brain can figure out the positions that we need to strengthen in, where we're lacking in depth, or another option, left back, left side of centre half. Well, I would have said striker, obviously, with side Adamida, and I guess Daizen has probably scuttled the opportunity for there to be potential of another striker coming in, because Peter Law's always said he can be your third striker. But I find in the wing positions as well, I do feel that we do drop off, and I think it's a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It's just James Forrest. Okay, he's been playing well on the left wing. Like, he's just shown just playing the easy ball, and again, his directness was a lot of the reasons why we carved Hibs open so early, both weeks, but in particular, on yesterday. But he's playing on his unfavored side. He's just doing the easy thing, or I say the easy thing, but like just being very direct and just being a nuisance. And he's holding out the likes of Palmer, Yang. James isn't any younger, but he can't provide that performance for 90 minutes either. This is asking too much. So I kind of feel almost, as crazy as it sounds, we almost could do with another high quality winger just to take that pressure off a little bit, because Kuhn's obviously lifted these years, and again, he's responsible definitely for the second goal, that chip into Maeda. And let's talk about Maeda's 2 goals, because I mean, the other thing that Rodgers mentioned in his post-match was that once we decided that Maeda was going to be the centre forward, he just worked with the coaching staff around timing of those runs, just changing that sort of aspect of his game, because obviously playing out in the left wing versus playing as the central striker, it's just an adjustment. And as you say, Paul, you've got the samurai blue on there. He does it for Japan. He did it pre-season, scored 2 goals. He did it pre-season last year, scored 2 goals. Sorry, so 5 goals in 2 games playing up front. So he knows how to do it. I mean, it's not like it's a foreign sort of position to him. But talk us through those 2 goals, because that again set the tone. It felt a bit like the Matrix. It was a little bit of a deja vu. There was like a cat going past my room. It was Monty, but you just like, that sort of like, did I see that? Have I seen this before? And it was like, yeah, we're 2-0 up after 15, 16 minutes against Hibs. Happy days.
Yeah, I think first goal, it's a great run by Hatate, isn't it? Like, there's some nice interactive passing prior to that, little triangles. And you can see Hatate on his bike, and he's pointing where he wants it, which we didn't see a lot of Hatate last year, but we didn't see a lot of, beyond Kyogo trying to run in behind, we didn't see a lot of movement from midfield, trying to get in behind and then demanding the ball over the top or through the channels. Is it O'Reilly, I think, that lifts it over, or is it Kuhn that played that one as well?
Kuhn played the second one.
Yeah. So I think I think it might be O'Reilly. Anyway, the ball over the top to Hatate is class. Hatate's on his bike, and then he flashes a great ball across the front. Maeda does very similar to what Kyogo does. He comes off his defender at the in front, gets across his man, gets a half decent. It's only a decent contact on it. The defenders, and by the way, he had an absolute nightmare. Is it Epitica? So I think probably butchered that, but yeah, he had a nightmare all day. And yeah, it clips off him and sort of goes over the keeper.
Ekpiteta, I think.
Ekpiteta, there you go. Told you I'd butcher it. So yeah, Ekpiteta sort of sliding in behind. Miera gets in front of him, clips a shot towards goal, lifts up over him, flicks up over the keeper, nestles in the back of the net. But his desire to get in front of his man, get there first, is really what ensures it's a goal or a good opportunity for a goal. And yeah, the passing and link-up play and the running by Hatate was fantastic. And Hatate's movement all day was great. He on and off the ball, runs that were meant for him to receive the ball, and more often he did. But lots of selfless running off the ball, pulling players out of position, making space for his teammates. And yeah,
much better this week to last week. I thought last
week close. He had a great game first game of the season. We gave him man of the match, and I think he was much closer to that. He was in the mix for man of the match again, as far as I'm concerned. I thought he had a really, really good game, and yeah, up and running after 3.5 minutes with an assist, and yeah, at 1-0, you think, well, here we go again. And to be fair, Mikey Stewart wasn't wrong. Hibs, they penned us in a bit for 90 seconds. There was ball shelled in on top of the defenders. They were looking and sniffing around for set pieces and loose balls. And we did have to defend our area for like I say, 60, 90 seconds. Weathered that storm, got the ball on the deck. And yeah, for the next 90 seconds, 2 minutes, probably they didn't barely touch the ball again after that. And yeah, worked a good opening and away you go. So that was his first, and obviously his tail's up at that point. And you'd think maybe Hibs would learn a lesson from there, be a bit more cautious. But their backline's all over the shop, like an absolute shambles. You drive a bus through some of the gaps in there. Out not aligned either. So Rocky Bashiri, a good 5-6 yards ahead of his teammates,
kept getting sucked into Matt O'Reilly. So I don't know whether he was told to track Matt O'Reilly or not, but like you can't, and Marvin Bartley at half times are, there's 3 centre halves in there. Well, one of your centre halves is almost playing in the midfield. Like he's
basically playing defensive midfield, and there's already 2 of them in there, and they're getting pulled all over the place. They're forgoing Martin Boyle a lot of time because he was trying to get close to Callum McGregor, but then Greg Taylor was inverting, and he had a brilliant game. Like, obviously a lot of focus on Greg Taylor, and maybe not just Greg Taylor, but his position. And obviously we need a cover at left back or pressure at left back, or I tell you what, you do hard press to be more effective in the pitch generally than Greg Taylor has started this season.
Well, at left back.
But yeah, but he's not really playing left back. He's playing sort of centre mid. And if teams were smarter than Hibs are, you could have potentially focused on the gap that was there.
There was one time where Martin Boyle was one touch away from stepping past, I think it was Callum McGregor at the tackling, but like there was one time where the gap was there because obviously Taylor was out of position, and you just think, oh, here we go, and we just managed to put a sliding tackle in. I think it was McGregor up at the tackling, but just like exactly as you say, like you do leave that wide open, and then obviously you're exposing Scales, and obviously we've got our ongoing sort of criticism of Liam Scales, but against better opposition, I don't think Greg Taylor's going to be quite as expensive, but
no. He's clearly got a remit to do that, and certainly in these games, because there was a 30-second period where he started at left back and finished at right wing, basically, or right inside forward in old language. And yeah, because he basically shifted the ball, followed his pass, moved again, received again, moved again, and he was pretty much popping up on the right wing between sort of Matt O'Reilly and Nicholas Coon. But some of his long range passing was excellent. There's a brilliant ball over the top, and then there was a brilliant one round the corner as well. I thought Greg Taylor had a phenomenal game, much closer to how he was utilised under Ange, where he flourished. We know he's not the best left back defensively. His height alone makes that an issue for him, and that is going to be a weakness against stronger teams that are going to try and attack us down that flank. And obviously it's compounded by the fact Liam Scales is also the weak link of the two centre backs. So that side is a natural target for teams that are willing to have a go. I guess for the majority of the Scottish Premier League, that's not going to be the case. Teams are going to do what Hibs did. They're going to look for set pieces and try and, nick something. They're not going to consistently attack one side of the pitch, but better teams will. Probably only in Europe based on what's available in Scottish League at the minute, I would say. But we definitely need additional support for Greg Taylor. But he started the season like a steam train, and I'm here for it. If he continues those performances domestically, he'll have plenty of games time and contributions this season. I thought he was great. But yeah, getting to the second Maeda goal, it's just another. Yeah, defensively, Hibs are poor. The backline's not even. There's a massive gap to run into. Again, Maeda spots it. He starts really deep, so he's never in danger of being offside. And the great thing is, there's a few players now starting to be on the same wavelength as when those runs are wide. So we've talked a lot about how often Kyogo makes great runs. And we haven't got the play apart from Matt O'Reilly. There's not really many players to look to pick him out.
They're not willing to take the chance
or to risk it. Yeah. So Hatate is probably a player that will do that. O'Reilly, if he stays, will continue to do that. And it now looks like Nicholas Kuhn's got the wherewithal and the willingness to do that as well. He plays he did one in pre-season that was against City was just phenomenal pass. For I think was it Kyogo. But this was another one, brilliant. But just chips it over the top, and Maeda's on it in a flash. He gets beyond the defender. Once he's the wrong side of the defender's in real trouble because he can't really touch him because you're looking at a penalty. So he puts pressure on him.
Maeda's strong.
Yeah. Well, the keeper comes out, but he doesn't really come charging out. He's a bit slow. Like Maeda's touch is a bit heavy, and if the goalkeeper's faster and
keeper stays on his line as well, though.
Yeah,
picked it up,
and he's sort of stuck in in no man's. He gets himself in no man's land, and Maeda's quick enough again after the slightly heavy first touch. He's quick enough to get his toe on it, and he steers it between the keeper's legs, and there's enough on it that the defender can't get back and clear it off the line. It's a really, really good goal from the movement to the pass. And then Maeda does enough. And it that's not easy. Like full pelt, ball kind of drop in. Yes, it's not a perfect first touch, but he's better with a heavier touch than a light one because then he potentially gets it too close to himself and trips over it. Can't get it out of his feet. At least he gets it out of his feet and he gives himself a chance. And then it's a really good finish through the keeper's legs. Keeper's probably not covered himself in glory there, but it's a great goal. And then at 2-0, 16 minutes, 17 minutes, as I said earlier, it's pretty much game over.
What I liked about it was Maeda's bravery because, you've got the defender breathing down your neck. The keeper's coming out. So, you're thinking, am I getting clattered from behind or am I getting clattered in front of me? But he's still, as you say, he's doing it 100 mile an hour. And like I said, got enough of a touch on it that it couldn't get cleared off the line. So I think, definitely my unsung hero this season, Daizen Maeda, but maybe a wee bit more sung about after more performances like that. But like you say, Paul, 2-0, we're in easy street. And you're thinking, at that point, I think even when the first goal went in, I went, if Hibs continue to defend like this, we will score 5 or 6 today because they were as you say, the gaps were just so big. And it's you cannot give Celtic that much space. I know as supporters, we hate watching the low block, but we've almost become accustomed to it, and when you don't see it, you're just going, "What? How are they trying to defend? What are they trying to do? They're just all over the place." But and as you said, the keeper could have done better, and he certainly didn't cover himself in glory for the third goal either. But we'll come to that in a bit. But I guess a couple of chances, Maeda had a chance for his hat trick. The ball came over, and he sort of lashed at it, and it's probably a half chance
on the swivel, slightly on his weaker side. If he gets it on target, he probably scores. He just gets under it a wee bit and can't keep it down. But it's a really good chance. He should definitely probably hit the target.
And then Matt O'Reilly had one that he didn't sort of keep it on. Well, actually, it was a tame shot. I think he got it on target, but he didn't sort of really get any power behind it. So it opened up a
Kuhn
bit.
fed him in, and then he stepped in on his left, and you think, oh, here we go, here's a special, and he just never really chokes down on it, pulls it, and it dribbles in towards the keeper. There's another one that O'Reilly, that beautiful ball by Hatate over the top to O'Reilly, and Riley's probably got the choice to
shoot or cross it.
He could potentially, he's got the ability. He could potentially Van Basten it on the first touch, or he could try and take it down, take a touch, and finish. And in the end, he's unselfish and tries to side volley it into the two players coming into the. I think Maeda's in there and potentially.
Maeda, yeah.
Somebody, there was two in the middle, so I'm not sure who the other one was. Maybe, I don't know.
Forrest,
Who
maybe.
It could have been Kuhn coming in at the back post, maybe. It's that side, isn't it? So, because Tati played the pass, so it wouldn't have been him. Yeah. Anyway, he's unselfish there, but he's probably taken the wrong option. And yeah, I just felt like, and then obviously there's the Forest burst into the box, and it's deemed to not be a penalty. I don't know what your views were on that.
Yeah, at the time I thought, that's a penalty. And then I did watch it back. And even at the time I watched it back, I was like, pretty sure he still gets his arm across. I'm thinking that could be a penalty. And then I watched it again today, and I was actually out of the heat of the moment. And I was actually, he probably was done a wee bit too easy. And in fairness, the defender does pretty well. He does win the ball, and then there's a bit of falling over after that. So, I mean, in hindsight, obviously that doesn't affect the game, but I think you feel hard done by. I think if that was, especially if the referee gives it as a penalty, maybe that's one thing. But then for VAR to then intervene and say you've made a clear and obvious error, I don't really think it's a clear and obvious error.
That's exactly what I was. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say if the on pitch ref gives it, I don't think VAR overturns it. I don't think they say. I think there's enough in it that it's one of those. It's interpretation, because I think the thing that goes against Hibs is that both players. There's two players on him, so he's effectively been sandwiched.
Yeah,
and both have got an arm out towards him. So player's got an arm on his left, on his right shoulder, and then the other one's got his arm kind of across his body. So, he maybe does go down a little bit easy, but players go down under a lot less contact than that and get penalties. So I think it's a 50-50. I think it's, one of those, if the ref gives it on the pitch, I think it stays a penalty. The ref doesn't give it on the pitch, it's probably pretty hard to overturn, especially with this kind of new directive of sort of laissez-faire, which appears
unless
to be
you're video assisted Rangers. We'll get to that.
Yeah, let's not dwell too much on that. So yeah, I think it's one of those. It could have been given, and you wouldn't have been, whether against you or for you, you wouldn't have had too much to grumble about if it's given. But equally, if it's not the end.
It was a great run. I mean, he actually had a burst of speed, and thinking it was actually James Forrest of old, and he felt the contact. He's gone down. Yeah, fair play. It's fair enough, but it didn't. I think
there's an interesting sort of, I don't know, narrative on James Forrest, and I think it comes from the fact that he's had quite an up and down career, even in his absolute youth and peak. He's only 32. There's plenty of players that are still absolutely turning it on at 32. It seems daft to sort of put him in. He's a winger, so let's mention Ronaldo and Messi. He's clearly not the same level as those players. But look at they're going to how old's Ronaldo? 39, 40 nearly. Messi must be late 30s, 37, 38. So he's a spring chicken compared to those guys. So there's no real reason why he shouldn't be still turning on performances for at least 60, 70 minutes on a reasonably regular basis. Are you going to expect him to play 50, 60 games for 60, 70 minutes? No. But
that was the point I was trying to make. Yeah, well, the point I was trying to make is he's not a Callum McGregor. He's not done 60 games a season. There was a lot of seasons there where James Forrest managed 10, 15 games a season because he had quite chronic injuries, like his quads or calves. So it was something that he just had to have these injuries. But 3 or 4 seasons where he was hampered. So it's not a situation where he's played a million games. And don't get me wrong, he's coming up on 500 games with Celtic. I mean, it's an amazing achievement. And take your hat off. I mean, it's incredible for any footballer, let alone playing them all at one club. So I'm all for it. But for me, the issue is that he is keeping other players out of the team at the moment, and there's a noticeable drop off when he comes off. And it's like, it's great that he's putting in the performances at 32 years of age. It's fantastic, but like, he's backup. He's not, as you say, he's not going to be able to do that for 50, 60 games a season. He'll be able to do that for 30, 40 games a season, especially when we're playing 2 games a week. He ain't going to be able to back that up 2 games a week. I like his nose, and I like I think his directness, and Mikey Stewart mentioned it, and I totally agree. I think Mikey Stewart talks a load of shite at some points, but the thing I did agree with him is the main difference between Celtic at this time last year to this year is that we're getting to the byline a lot more often and getting that ball across and putting those balls in for Maeda or Kyogo or whoever it is. And James Forrest is a big part of that because he just offers that directness. He says, I'm right at the byline. I'm either getting a cross in or I'm getting a corner kick. And it's like, you can't argue with that. It's like, well, all right, worst case scenario, you get a corner kick. Well, that's okay. But like, if you're not, the ball's coming in, and then you're a good chance of scoring a goal. So, just that I said,
he's our third choice winger, really, isn't he? So he's a first reserve winger at the moment. So everybody's fit. Maeda plays on the left, Kuhn plays on the right, and Forrest is your first. He's your first reserve. Now, I agree with you. He probably shouldn't be at 32. He probably shouldn't be first reserve. And if we've got injuries, he's a first pick. And fair play to him. He's performing well. He's basically kept his form running from the end of last season, which, there's always a danger when you finish the season. And obviously he had the disappointment of no minutes at the Euros, which I don't really see the point in selecting him when he's probably your form-wide player, and then you just don't give him any minutes. It just sums up Scotland, really, doesn't it? But
Steve Clark in a nutshell, but anyway.
Yeah. So... But also the quirky little thing, we had 4 players play on the left wing in that match. So Forrest started,
Yang,
and then I think Ida came on first. So Ida came, Maeda went on, Maeda moved over, Forrest came off. Then Yang came on for Maeda. And then Palmer came on and Yang went over to the right. So we had 4 players playing on the left side of the front.
Feel sorry for the right back. Newell's the right back?
No, Newell plays in midfield. Lewis Miller.
Lewis Miller.
And, he's probably one of their better players, to be honest. He went, he had didn't have a whole lot of support, really. Obviously, Boyle's playing much higher. The midfielder.
Is he the Rory Delap throw-in, or is it him?
He is, yeah. He's Aussie as well, I think. I think Lewis Miller is Aussie. But yeah, he's the sort of rocket launcher, which impressive distance to be honest. He was nicking yards all over the place, but he was shelling them in from all distances.
He was literally just inside the halfway line, and I'm going, surely not. And he's managed to get into the 18-yard box, into the 18-yard box.
Second half, he was just past the dugout area, like the technical area, and he was shelling him into not even just into the box, like right in before near the 6-yard box.
Yeah. I must admit, it's impressive. As an athlete, as just watching the Olympics, you're thinking, maybe he should have been a javelin thrower or a fucking discus thrower or something like that. Paul, we need to talk about the goal that we conceded, because obviously that was probably the one, negative, like something we need to sort of touch on. So the free kick comes from Carter Vickers challenging a ball that he was never getting to. He picks up a yellow card in the process, which is obviously uncharacteristic, but also, it's like, he didn't. I don't think Carter Vickers had a great game last week, but then I was like, ooh, that's not ideal. So free kick, it's a good delivery, deep, that sort of distance where people are running onto it, but is Celtic employing like a zonal marking sort of thing there? Because nobody seemed to be picking up a player. Like there just seemed to be runners everywhere, and obviously the header, it's a great header. I mean, it's a free header, it was a great header. Carter Vickers, I think, spots the danger, but by the time he spots the danger, he gets in the road of, Hattati gets in the road of him, or he gets in the road of Hattati, and he can't get a header on it. But I just kind of feel that we were very lackluster defending that. And yeah, okay, 2-1 against Hibs, at no point did I feel we're in any danger, but at the same time, that's an easy thing to snuff out, both in the sense that don't give away the free kick in the first place, and then secondly, defend it better, because and you can't blame Stales for that, because Stales was obviously marking higher up, higher up the line, which is fair enough. He's left-sided centre half, but yeah, I just kind of feel we got that all wrong. What was your thoughts?
We did. I think, and I haven't gone back and looked at the play immediately before the free kick. I meant to do that today, but I had to work. I didn't get a minute, and it's not in any of the highlights.
We don't get paid to do this. We just do this as we laugh and
yeah. So the free kick, the foul for the free kick wasn't included in the highlights from what I could gather, so couldn't really tell. The only thing I would say is the foul. It's a clumsy foul, and Carter Vickers is daft to make it. He's never getting it, like you say, and he goes through the back of him. But he's sort of in Gales' position when he does it. Like he's over in that left side channel.
Yeah.
So, and Scales presumably isn't anywhere to be seen. So I can only assume it was off the back of a set piece potentially, and we've been caught upfield. We're a bit spread, and he's had to come from his right centre back position to cover danger, and so then he's sort of jumping and moving, and that's how he comes through the back of him. He's and he probably should just sort of try and put some pressure on without actually trying to win the ball. He tries to win the ball, and he has to go through him. So positionally, I think we're caught a bit of a mess there. And without pointing fingers directly at Scales, because I haven't gone back and worked out where everyone was and why. He's definitely not in the right part of the pitch for where he should be. He's definitely been asked to come out of his side of the pitch and cover across. Anyway, once it's done, Boyle plays a great free kick in. We're badly set up as far as I'm concerned. Whether you're doing zonal or man-to-man, you should still have roughly the right height players against each other. And Hatati's the closest man to Kukarevic.
Yeah.
I think I've got that right.
You did. Yeah.
Kukarevic. Yeah. So Hatati is the closest man, and he sort of drifts off him. But that's not the right matchup anyway. I don't know what Hatati is, 5'8", 5'9", something like that. Kukarevic is 6'4". I checked because I was like, there's a massive mismatch there. So even Carter Vickers and Matt O'Reilly, who's the other closest player that could be challenging, he's got a height advantage on both of those two players. But at least they're in the 6 feet and would have been able to jump with them and put a bit more pressure. So that whole zonal area there is a bit of a mess as far as I'm concerned. CCV isn't covering Kukarevic. Or the zone that Kukarevic is in, he's further up. He's closer to Scales. And you're right, he spots it kind of a bit too late and tries to get across. O'Reilly's on the last man, which I think might be, weirdly, Lewis Miller's come over from the right back position, and because he's quite a tall player as well. So O'Reilly's sort of between the two of them. And if anything, he's probably the player that can see the danger more than anyone else. And Hatati's sort of close to Kukarevic, but there's a massive, he's about 6 inch.
Well, Tati's not much. Tati's nothing in the air. Like he's never.
Yeah, he's not. So I assume he's there to sweep up a second ball. If there's a knockdown or a deflection, he's there to pick it up on the edge of the box and try and play it out quickly or retain the possession and look after the ball. So generally, it's a mess.
But there's nobody close enough. Where's AJ? Because I mean, he's your right back. So I mean,
he's not. Yeah, he's somewhere else, right? I don't know.
But surely you maintain some sort of structure, and then you just filter the midfielders in. Like
you would have thought so.
You would have thought so. I mean, surely that makes it easier. Because AJ's no slouch in the air. I mean, he's not tall.
Yeah, he's decent,
and he can get in.
Even if he's got, he's not got the height advantage. He's strong enough and good enough in the air to at least jump with them and put pressure on it. So he's completely uncharged. A really good header. Like he plants it in a looping fashion that Schmeichel's got absolutely no chance.
No.
Obviously, his first goal he's conceded, so he'll be disappointed. But he'll only be disappointed that he's not got a clean sheet. He won't be disappointed that he should have done better. There's really nothing he can do with that. And Hibs must have been in dreamland. They've been absolutely dominated for the whole game, apart from 90 seconds at the beginning. The game should have been done and dusted. It's and we're saying it was pretty much done, and it kind of was. Like we ramped it up again. But yeah, I think the boys and the manager were pretty upset to be going in only 1-up at halftime, and some of the fans are probably scratching their head a wee bit, going, "How have we played as good as we did in that half, and we're only one clear?" And I think maybe last season there would have been, there'd been a real bit of sort of stress around the place. But I think we've started the season so well, and we've got other gears to go into, and we look like we've got goals from multiple areas across the team, that I don't think that whole stress and anxiety that was there constantly last season, that hasn't entered the building yet, and hopefully it doesn't come back. But like in last season, that's the kind of game where you go into one, you've had a stonking first half, second half dog shit, lose a goal, 2-2, drop 2 points. That's the kind of thing that would have happened last season. So, disappointing to lose it, but then we rallied again, could have scored, like the potential penalty instance after that. There's other sort of good attacks after that. But yeah, you go in 2-1, and then you want a reaction, and we did again. We came out the blocks second half again.
We certainly did. We'll talk about the third goal, and then we can sort of wrap up, because it's sort of the one thing I found interesting. I'll check that out just literally before we came on, but the statistics, second half, Hibs actually had more possession than we did, which I don't really recall, but they were 56% or 44%. But there you go. But damage was done. 55th minute. Hibs tried to play it out from the back, and as Brendan Rodgers said in his post-match, he said our counter press was basically our playmaker today, and it was, because Maeda puts the pressure on, and then that forces the ball back, and then Kuhn just can't believe his luck. The ball's come in. The keeper again has made an absolute mare of it. It's probably 2 goals. He's probably questionable, and Southwood's sitting at the back of the net. Nicholas Kuhn gets the easiest goal he'll probably ever score, and probably again one of the worst goal celebrations again that you'll see. Definitely he's the instigator, because Riley's indulging him, but it's like, stop doing it. It's just embarrassing. Obviously, big roar when Adam Ida comes off the bench for James Forrest, and then I must have fell asleep, because then next minute I realised Yang was on for Maeda, and then later on, with about 9 minutes to go in normal time, Palmer and Bernardo came on, but I thought Bernardo actually looked really good. He was unlucky not to either score or have an assist. Like, he looked really good. Ida, good pressure. He chased one down the left back. He chased him, hunted him down, and won the ball back. And I went, that was good. Just unfortunately, just didn't quite get the golden chance that he needed, maybe just to score on his debut. But yeah, what was your thoughts in the second half, Paul? Just as a wee quick rundown.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, they probably had more possession, but it was probably not in dangerous areas. We probably took a foot off the gas a little bit on some of that pressing, especially after 3-1 would be my guess, was probably where some of those stats come from. And they had a fair few set pieces and long throw-ins, and they shelled the ball around again for bits of the second half post 3-1. Obviously, they kind of had to have a go at that point. Goals all Maeda for me. He really puts Ekapiteta under pressure again, and he's all over the shop. And he plays the blind pass back to the keeper, which just daft. And then the keeper's a bit too casual. He should just be stepping out and belting that up the park or out the park. But yeah, he tries to be cute. And Kuhn's on it. Like, this is go back to, I think, something Roger said last week or the week before, when he said we want our wingers in and around the goal area, coming in at did he call it the second stick? I think I referred to it as the second stick a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, and he's doing that, right? He's on top of him, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward from there, but fair play to him for being in and around. I was impressed with Bernardo in his 10-minute cameo, added time, probably 15 minutes. Looked hungry, he was involved in the press. He looked strong, win the ball, some nice touches. He had a lovely little through ball that just got cut out, would have put Ida in. And then from there, he won the ball back again and played in Palmer for an absolutely gilt edge chance. He's got to hit the target, and he pulls it past the post. If you want to be kind, it's his first opportunity after coming off the bench. But we've talked a bit about this before, is, those players on the fringe, you might only get one chance. You might only get 10 minutes as they did. And you've got to take those opportunities if you want more time. So
the other thing I would say about Palmer is that the first touch he had, he let it roll at the park. Like the ball got played into him and he took a bad first touch. And it's like, you've just got to be ready. Like you can't, I Mikey Stewart, I'm agreeing with Mikey Stewart a lot tonight. I don't know how that happened, but he said the same, like you get 9-10 minutes on the park. Like you've got to show in that 10 minutes, are you worthy of a longer start, stint, whatever. So I don't think he's the one that's covering himself in much glory at the moment. Out of all I thought Yang was busy. But yeah, I
busy
thought
with little output though. I'd have loved to see Turley get 10-15 minutes instead of Yang, for example. We kind of know what Yang can do. Maybe Rodgers is seeing more than we are on the training pitch and wants to get more minutes under his belt. But I agree with you. I think we'll bring in another winger, or at least a utility forward player that can potentially play either side or through the middle as a third choice. And interestingly, Miera may or may not be that third choice, because Rodgers was prepared to offer that to Rocco Vata. That was supposed to be the clincher with his contract, that he was going to be that. He's 2 number 1 strikers and 1 third striker that be there on rotation. But he obviously didn't fancy it and more money down south, so he went. I'm not sure if we've got another kid that's ready to be that third striker. So, maybe we don't need to spend a fortune if we can pick up a 18, 19-year-old kid that wants to play that position and be willing to take opportunities where they can and back themselves to grab an opportunity on 5-10 minutes at the end of matches here and there. I know a lot of people spoke before the game, but they thought there might be more changes. And, that was maybe the one other talking point, is that, we didn't rotate the keeper. A lot of people thought AJ might get a rest just because of how late he played Copa America, and that didn't happen either. In fact, he obviously played the whole match.
Well, I think Roger's comment said itself. He says playing one game a week, the team's not going to change that much. He says you're looking for dynamic starters or players to come in and maybe give it a bit of energy. But basically, when you're playing one game a week, I can play the same team week in, week out. So I don't expect many changes up until when we start playing 2 games a week. And then that's when, I'm not saying you have to roll the dice, but that's when you have to decide, all right, we're playing in Europe midweek and then we're playing Dundee away. Like, all right, who are the 2 or 3 players that we need to change to freshen the team up? But, at the moment, I guess it's just getting the likes of Bernardo, Ida, getting them in the door, getting some match fitness. So, they will start. There's no 2 ways about it. It'll be a horses for courses policy as the season goes on, and you don't have to rely on them. But for me at the moment, those wing positions are just, I wouldn't be able to rely on a Yang or Palmer maybe, but Yang to start. I mean, obviously have a few injuries or a few things for that to happen, but there's just players in that team at the moment that are like, best case scenario, they're a fringe squad bench player, but ideally you want all your players to potentially be able to start and make a contribution. But it's early days, and obviously still weeks to go. It's another week that Matt O'Reilly's still here, and we seem to have seen off Atalanta at least. But I'm sure other teams will, still try and put in some cheeky bids between now and the close of the window. Paul, was there anything else that you wanted to discuss during the match at all? Or
I've literally just seen a pop up to say breaking news: Brighton make formal bid for Celtic midfielder Matt O'Reilly. So it's an actual video clip. So I don't know the context and the fee, but they've not gone away. They've not. I agree with you. I think it's interesting. Brighton one is interesting for me because there's a lot of, and I don't know how solid this is, but there's been some conjecture / rumor that for him he wants Champions League. So if he leaves Celtic, it's got to be for another Champions League team. There's some. I would feel like there's some validity in that because why does he need to just pick a team? Because he could literally stay till January. With the way other teams are looking, the league could be wrapped by then. There's no winter break, so by the end of January it could be done and dusted. The window, I think, will go till the end of January. The last Champions League game is the 29th of January. So we could have a deal lined up and somebody to come in and him to go out before the end of January. And if he's had a good Champions League, which you would expect, his fee will go up again and he'll have his pick of even more clubs, you would think. So I don't know. I think it's going to have to be a silly offer for Celtic and a silly offer wage-wise and probably some guarantee of starting position at Brighton for that one to be for that one to stick. I've said, I'm pretty sure I've said it here. I've definitely said it elsewhere and on our group chat. If it's a Premier League team, we should be adding 5 or 10 million to the asking price.
Should be.
Because that should be the tax for the daft league, because there's
money coming. The dross that they're paying money for.
There's money coming out their backsides. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'm still of the view he'll be gone. Somebody will come out and put a great offer for him and a great offer for us, and he'll go. But since Atalanta dropped out, I have had this flickering of, I'm going to call it hope more than optimism, that maybe he just hangs around till January. If he can't have a team that meets his, and I think Atalanta in this area would be a brilliant move for him. My concern with that is that their pockets aren't as deep as some other leagues, and it would stick in the craw a wee bit if he went there for a smidge over 25 mil, and then next season he's the Coop Miners that's going for 50, 60 million to Juventus or AC Milan or somebody else or to a different league. So I definitely think the clubs seems to be, for now at least, holding out for a fee that would be fair. I certainly hope we do. I hope we don't panic and just take a crap offer, because I think it sounds like Rodgers sounds pretty. I think Rodgers sounds pretty relaxed. So for me, it looks like everybody's on the same page. The club and the player and the manager are all like, this is the amount it takes for us to accept it, and then it's up to you if you want to go. And it seems like he's happy with that. So if that's the case and nobody meets the valuation, or if somebody does meet the valuation and Matt goes, I don't fancy it, I'll stay here for another 6 months at least, please, then happy days. He's impossible to replace. We're not going to go out and spend 25 million. Rodgers actually said that explicitly in I think his pre-match conference the other day. So yeah, it's going to be a combination of players to add together to give us what he's missing. I don't think we'll replace his ability, vision, goals in one player. I think that's going to, the squad's going to have to step up. Like Kuhn's already added more goals and more assists. So there's some fill in there. Hatati's back. If he stays fit, there's more goals and assists there than we had in the team last season. And maybe Bernardo or somebody else comes in and chips in with a bit more as well. So you've got 3 players contributing that fill the gap that he would. And at least the rumors that are out around of, and it doesn't sound like even like for like replacements either. That's the thing. This Engels guy doesn't sound like he's a like for like replacement. No. But he's of the right kind of profile. He's 20 years old. He's already played about 40, 50 games in Bundesliga. Yeah.
That was the thing for me.
We're looking at a fee of about 10 million. That's where we should be spending our money. Sell for 25, 30, replace at 10. He can go for 25, 30, 35, hopefully in 2 or 3 years. Rinse and repeat. We gradually step up the wage structure and the fee structure. And the thing about the O'Reilly situation is, I really hope we get to see him for a bit longer, but we do have to sell him probably at least in the next 12 months. Because otherwise the model doesn't work properly. You go too far into this contract, his fee starts to come down.
Well, you end up with Chris Ayer or Nodson Edward, don't you? Like you miss out on that peak window, because we missed that by 12 months because we were chasing 10 and it all fell apart. But
I guess and the other thing on that is you also got to sell them not just for the money, but because that shows other players of a similar bracket, this is the place for you to come here, play for 2 or 3 seasons, do really well, win some trophies, get some Champions League football. You can go and get riches elsewhere, wherever you fancy, and then that'll target a certain kind of player. It's not for everyone. Loads of players will still go to the Premier League and be squad players, But there's certain players that go, oh, no, I quite fancy that. I'll play first team football, get in Europe and have a couple of medals and then move on. So yeah, I really hope he doesn't go. Or if he does, then all the fee and more is spent on, 3 or 4 recruits. But we'll wait and see. There's not too much longer to go, and then this purgatory will be over.
If you're still listening at 55 minutes, thank you. Please like this episode on YouTube or your podcast channel that you listen to. It helps other like-minded Celts find us and listen to our review. We are on every Monday night, normally live, whenever Celtic plays on the weekends. So barring international breaks, we'll be here. And barring holidays, I'll be here. Paul, my man of the match was Daizen Maeda. You've got a samurai blue strip on, so I'm assuming just having a wee shot in the dark that your man of the match is Daizen Maeda. Would that be correct?
Reo Hatate.
Oh, Reo Hatate.
I'm joking. No, to be fair, he pushed him really close, and I was tempted to give it to Reo. And so that was a good enough reason to have it on anyway. I thought Reo was great, really, really good. Callum McGregor actually had a really, really good game.
Good game.
Bit under the radar. He's running back in his cover, and usual solid passing in midfield. Nicholas Kuhn was on. He could have been. He's involved in all 3 goals.
You were doing big licks to Greg Taylor as well. So I mean,
and Greg Taylor had. There's really good quality, and right across the pitch. But look, 2 goals out of position for Daizen Maeda and a heavy hand in the third. It's pretty hard not to give it to Daizen Maeda. So we're in agreement again, which is pretty much the usual. But
well, that was the official man of the match as well. I think that was one was picked itself. So fair play to our Daizen with the Neil Lennon peroxide blonde hairdo. Paul, we've got 5 minutes left. So what is your recommendations for us this week?
So my album of the week, and I'm pretty sure I didn't call this out at the end of last season. I hope I didn't, otherwise I'm repeating myself. I don't think it wasn't released until the 31st of May. So our last show would have been on the 27th or something. So I'm pretty sure.
Go for your life. Go for your life.
And it's by Richard Hawley, and it's called In the City They Call You Love, which he's from Sheffield. So it's a term of affection in Sheffield. They call men and women love, which I spent 8 years in Yorkshire, and I found it very weird. First time a middle-aged man called me love, I thought,
love.
Oh, what's going on here? What? But it's kind of cute and endearing once you spent a bit of time in Yorkshire. So Richard Hawley, long-standing, great solo career, once of the Long Pigs and briefly of Pulp. But solo star for a long, long time. His latest album came out, like I say, at the end of May, and it's called In This City They Call You Love. Get a look at it. It's right up there with sort of massive albums that like Cole's Corner that was a huge hit in the late 90s, early 2000s. So give it a listen.
My TV recommendation this week is the reboot of Rebus. So I watched that on SBS On Demand, binged it in a couple of days. Obviously, I'm sure if you're in Scotland, you've probably seen it already. But if you're in Australia, it's on SBS On Demand. So I definitely recommend that. 6 episodes, pretty tight narrative. Well acted. I enjoyed it. I wanted it finished before I went away this week. Really good. Really enjoyed it and worth checking out. I am going to be.
I watched that last week as well. Absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm a big Rebus fan.
Closet Jambo.
Yeah, well, he's not that overly bothered, but I've read all the books except for the most latest one sitting on my shelf. Due to read that, but I thought it was a good iteration. Some of the I thought John Hannah was a bit of a weird one, and Ken Stott was decent, but I think Richard Rankin plays it really, really well. I guess the only thing for pure Rebus purists, it's a bit of a weird mashup because it's not. In the past, they've kept to like one season is one book or one kind of storyline, whereas Rebus was a young sergeant like this guy is in the 80s. And obviously, it's right bang up to current.
They've modernized it.
They've mishmashed characters from different eras of Rebus, but as a TV show, it works really well.
Yeah, no, it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm going to away for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to go see the Italian Grand Prix. So I'm going to be in Italy, getting some sunshine, because if you can't tell, it's effing freezing in Perth at the moment. So it'll be nice to actually get some sunshine. So I'll be away for the Old Firm Derby. The Glasgow
that's a
Derby. Glasgow Derby. That
Freudian
was a
slip.
Freudian slip. See, my mind's all over the place at Glasgow Derby. So we've got some ring-ins coming in over the next couple of weeks. We've got Sean coming back. We've got Shane. I've pinched him from the pot noodle, so he's coming over for an episode. Richard will be back. He should have been on tonight, but unfortunately couldn't make it on. So there'll be an ensemble. Paul will be in the hosting seats doing a fine job in my absence. And hopefully by next week, we'll be back live again, which again, completely outside of our control. But if you have any comments, please leave them in the YouTube, because I do read them. I'm always up for feedback, or if there's anything that you liked, didn't like, anything you agreed with, disagreed with, let us know. I'm on Twitter. Paul's on Twitter. He's far more active than me. But again, if you want to give us a follow, I'll give you a follow back. And yeah, I guess all that's left to say at the moment is hail, hail.
Hail, hail.